one of the things that I think clarifies the nature of value as you're trying to express it as a basic property of the cosmos. Something I write about in this work that Jonathan was speaking to. It is that it pre-exists the human, right? Because if you're a postmodernist, you take value as a social construction, then there's basically nothing that looks like value until a human emerges, and then we create value systems and we use them to oppress people or whatever you do with that. But the take here is that actually no, life emerged to respond to value which pre-existed it. So I think of Whitehead spoke of the appetition of the cosmos, that the cosmos had an appetite, that it wanted something, that it moved towards something, and that the evolutionary process responds to value, makes it teleological. And it also means that there's a dimension in biological evolution that is responding to the same field of real value that we are responding to. So that there are some values which are periphery, which occur locally, and then there are other values which are so core that we can actually say that we share them with like animals, and that we share them perhaps with cells. That the value pre-exists us, then there's a continuity of value that we participate in. And so things like harmony, right? Like harmony is expressed very early in physics, where you either get some things or they do not work. And if you think about multicellular organisms or complex organisms, a lot of what's occurring there is complex systems of integrous, harmonious things. Humans start to use speech, they start to try to name values, and you get something like justice or fairness as a continuation of this dimension of what emerges is that there's a paucity of language of evaluation in our culture. So this is a point Charles Taylor makes. He talks about languages of strong evaluation being the core of what holds a culture together. And that means a language of shared value. We talk about
whatever we mean by God, the creative force, logos, whatever it may be, that is bringing the cosmos into being, and the cosmos is bringing it further into being, so that each is unfolding and discovering more of its potential in this dynamic relationship. It's not a story of a static something that just is, or of two static somethings, but of a twofold relationship in which something is ever more coming into being. That seems to be at the center of creation. And if there's one thing one can say about the cosmos, it is that it is creative in this way. That is one of the primary values, if you like, of the cosmos, is simply to make things happen, to differentiate out of an enormously potential unity, all that potential means when it's unfolded, and then to refold it again into a now enriched unity, which then carries on this process. It's an alternation. And of course, this is very much in keeping with David Bohm's idea of the implicit order, the explicit order, and then being re-enfolded into the implicit.
Yeah, we speak of evolving value, or evolving eternal value.
Yes.
In the Kabbalistic tradition, there's this saying that there's more God to come, which is basically...
I didn't know that. If you can give me the reference to that, because I'm very keen on the Kabbalah, and I've never heard that. But I argue, of course, that the Kabbalah actually sees that, that whatever is the ground of being, Ein Sof, is actually coming into being.
Yeah, and that's the root of this work, because it's the collaboration with Rabbi Gaffney and Ken Wilber, who are both esotericists. And Gaffney's command of the Kabbalistic literature, and it's part of the through line of the matter with things is the line back through Schelling, through Boheme to the Renaissance, basically Christian Kabbalists. Metaphysics is implicit there, which is of this, where God invests in the cosmos the ability to basically further the divine, to create new God. And so as something like harmony falls, or beauty evolves, the intensification of the value evolves forever. And we participate in it. It's self-aware, either creating value or hating value. So it's a kind of
We either participate in it or fail to do so. And that is the tragedy, that at the moment we're failing to do so.
right, exactly. Yeah.
The sacred is something that is dark. The mystics talk about it as a kind of visible darkness, a light that's so bright that in fact for us it is invisible or impenetrable or unknowable. Now, if that is the case, what happens is that when it passes through a prism, we can then perhaps begin to see it. The light is somehow softened, filtered. And the prism through which that light of the sacred comes is the one that generates, in my view, beauty, goodness, and truth, that these are manifestations of it, that the creation can respond to, and that are its principal lures that are calling to us to go to it. Does that help?
Feeling the right sort of... it does help.
Our vision will become clearer, our responses will become more natural, and we will see what matters, and that which matters to us and which will enable us to survive will to be able to trust people and to achieve something which really exemplifies goodness, truth, and beauty. I mean, it's always open to somebody to so twist the meaning of a word that it will now encompass, but in the way we normally use them, they're different.